You're immediately increasing revenue while decreasing costs at the acquisition point.
We have all these automations set up, and as soon as your engagement falls off, we have it where then it introduces Carnivore Club.
If you're sending a lot of traffic to Battlebox and they don't buy Battlebox, you can then introduce them to something else, right? Hey everybody, welcome to SubSummit Studios. Chris George here, and we've got John Roman from Battlbox. John, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Good to see you, Chris.
So super excited to have you on the show. Excited today to talk about some of the things you've built, not just with Battlbox, but how you've now merged into and acquired other companies, and talk about some of the struggles and successes of that. If you could, real quick, just let everybody know who you are, quick background on yourself, and just a quick intro.
Name is John Roman. I serve as the Chief Marketing Officer for Battlbox, also managing partner of Carnivore Club, which we'll get into was one of our acquisitions. We've been around for a little over 5 years. Battlbox was launched in February 2015.
And for those that don't know what Battlbox is, tell us a little bit about that and
sure,
why you guys built it, things of that.
Yeah. So Battlbox is outdoor enthusiast camping survival subscription box. So it doesn't follow the usual rules of a sub box when you think of it. So every month the box size is typically different because we come up with the products and what's in the box, and then we have to sometimes make a new box SKU to make it fit. So it's a different viewpoint. The price points range from $30 to $150, but the surprising thing is the vast majority of our customers are in the highest tier. We've shipped a 16-pound monthly box before, which thank goodness we don't do that regularly.
Yeah, it's got to have some shipping, high shipping costs associated with it. Right. I think what you're doing is awesome, and I think it's super creative. And for those that are into outdoors, this is something they should definitely check out. You mentioned having multiple tiers, and so I think that there are some boxes that do that, but not as many. And you mentioned also that you got more subscribers in the high end, which I think data has shown that's better, right? So you're probably seeing a higher lifetime value of the customer, lower churn,
better retention rates, lower churn. Yeah, the tier piece is interesting. So my business partner Daniel, who's the brainchild and came up with the idea, he came up with the 4 tiers. And I remember back in February and March of 2015, we were all, I'm a betting man, so I'd say if I were a betting man, but if I'm placing bets, we were like, okay, the vast majority are going to be in that basic. At the time, it was 25 a month.
Yeah,
we'll have a little bit more in the advanced 50, some in the pro, and maybe a couple dozen in the pro plus. And we quickly were wrong. And we saw that.
Well, conventional thinking is that if it's cheaper, they'll sign up.
Yeah.
But the reality of it is the higher quality customers are the ones that spend more. They got more discretionary income. You don't want to discount yourself out of business, meaning we try to be hesitant on what kind of discounts you give on the first box. And when you've got a lower priced one that maybe you do half off your first one, the likelihood of churn is just higher, right?
It's crazy. So every metric you can think of, you can tell a difference between the tiers. The amount of tickets opened by a customer, tickets.
I'm sure it's higher with the lower ones.
And not even close. It's a 600% higher rate.
Jeez. And is it everything from where's my box to where's my shipment? Why did you renew this month? Things like that.
Yeah, it's everything to the lower level. Just asking and there's nothing wrong with these questions, right? They're a paying customer, but just asking well, you explain to me how to use this product.
Yep.
Asking just being very, very needy, which is okay, and we love explaining it and showing the practical use. But it is very surprising to see that customers spending the less tend to be the most.
Yeah. Have you done a cost analysis or risk analysis against that? It might be interesting to do as an exercise, even for businesses to think about.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned yourself, right? You've got additional resources being used on the lower tier customers that have lower churn and lower LTV. What would that look like? Have you done that? Have you thought about it?
We haven't done exactly what you described. We've had discussions revolving around the lower tiers, actually a little over, I guess, a year and a half ago now. We actually made the decision to raise the price of the lower two, the basic $25 a month. When it first came off, it was $25 a month plus $5 shipping. And then we moved to $25 a month plus actual shipping, calculated shipping.
Also, your site calculates now.
Yeah. And then the third step is it's now $30 a month plus calculated shipping.
So what have you seen in regards to growth, change, churn, change, customer acquisition costs? Nothing.
It stays the same.
It's interesting. So I know that there's other brands too that have had success in adjusting the price. I think a big part of it is not just like, it's also like where it's at. So there's a lot of data that something priced at 25 is just as likely to sell at 27 and at 29. Right. So you made that adjustment for you guys. It makes sense to have that sort of extra and resources applied to that.
It's
worth it. Standpoint, it makes sense. Good. You didn't raise the price on the higher tiered one though.
No, but we've also discussed the possibility of that, because the interesting thing and one of the only downfalls of our tiered model is that the box is all stacked. So if you buy in advance, you get everything from the basic and Plus. The advanced pro. You get basic, advanced, pro, Pro plus. You get all three, and then the pro plus.
Oh, that probably helps with fulfillment too, right? Because then the boxes are essentially the same. They just don't have all the items.
We raised the price of the bottom two. It took a little bit of the additional budget away from the top two, which obviously is not a sustainable
thing.
It had the margins to support it, but now we want to keep pushing the envelope and delivering core and better products for people to get excited about, and we're a little handcuffed. So we actually had discussions of possibly raising it just so we can put more in there. Now we would, of course, I think when you do something like that, like if we end up raising it, we grandfather everybody existing.
Right.
Welcome to the show. You get to stay exactly where you are because you were there. But new customers would the additional rates.
I think that having the multiple tiers is nice because you're giving people options. It's probably a higher opportunity for less first box churn.
Right.
What I wanted to ask you was, have you A/B tested the standalone shipping costs charge versus an all-in-one price versus a calculated shipping price?
So we haven't. We've actually had lots of discussions about
I'd be interested to see what that comes out as, right? Because for example, I know for a lot of brands, it's just one price, right? No matter what the shipping is. I think when you've got a box that's under 16 ounces, it's actually okay because like the shipping differential is so minimal that you just come up with this average and you've budgeted for the average shipping.
Right.
For you, when the box is bigger and it weighs more, like 4 or 5 pounds to California is going to cost much less than 4 or 5 pounds to say New York, right? Because you're based in Atlanta. Have you guys built like a policy in regards to like, we don't build a box that weighs more than X pounds now?
We've decided when possible strongly.
Yeah. So I know that for our Gentleman's Box team, that they've got like for their premium box, it's like no more than 5 pounds. It's policy.
Yeah.
For the classic, it's no more than 16 ounces. It's literally a policy. Like if it goes 5.2 pounds, like, okay, we got to eliminate something. We got to switch an item out. Right. It just helps to forecast sort of like revenue and making sure that you're staying within budget. Real quick, John, before we get into that a little deeper, I want to just take a moment and thank one of our SubSummit partners. And then we'll be back right after this quick commercial.
Need advice on how to grow your subscription-based business in an increasingly competitive marketplace? Partner with Plug Digital, a leading e-commerce design and development agency. Plug Digital is a team of experienced e-commerce experts that offers web design and development services, speed optimizations, site redesigns, customizations, and more. An optimized website is a necessity rather than a luxury. Take your subscription-based business to the next level. Call Plug Digital at 855-452-8237 or visit plugdigital.io to schedule a free consultation.
It's very hard to build a direct-to-consumer subscription box that is going to hit 100,000 plus subscribers. You've got their Dollar Shave Club, you've got Harry's, you've got these anomalies, right? For the most part, it's hard to get to that number.
Right.
And I love what you're doing because you guys have looked at this and said, we can build a really good business that's driving a lot of profitability and revenue at X number. But getting to 100,000 can be difficult.
Right.
So we're going to diversify, and we're going to acquire more brands that target men. And for the sake of just numbers and examples, not that this is what you guys are at, but you could get to 100,000 by having 5 brands that each have 20,000 subs. Right. And then there's a lot of economies of scale, and there's a lot of benefits to having these brands merged. Tell us a little bit about how you were thinking about that, some of the brands you acquired, and then where you've seen some of that success, and then even go into like, where did you see some like interesting sort of not failures, but like roadblocks or road bumps?
Yeah. So Carnivore Club was one of the companies we acquired July of last year. So it's one of our more recent ones. Monthly artisanal meats, cured meats, meat subscription, shelf stable. There was a lot of just synergies, and as you mentioned, the economies of scale, where just day one we can take the business and we can impact the bottom line literally at a flip of a switch. So from our shipping rates to shared resources from a talent employee standpoint, you can just day one really move the needle, and you can take a business that might have been considered a lifestyle business or hey, it's paying me a salary and I'm kind of good with it, with no real path to growing.
Right.
And all of a sudden you can just basically unlock this cash flow, where then you can really dump it into the business and really try to push it to that next level. It was a Toronto-based company originally, so there was a Toronto office. We still have the Toronto office. It's just an additional office. The team from Toronto too, super talented, and they plugged into our ecosystem too, where Curtis, as an example, he was running Amazon for Carnivore Club, and Battlbox was paying an agency to do it.
Oh yeah, there's some
who was probably doing
there.
a subpar job, but
right?
We didn't know any better, and now we have an internal expert.
Yeah, you're immediately increasing revenue while decreasing costs at the acquisition point.
Right.
And then the other, I think, most important thing too is that you're able to start to diversify your traffic, right? So like if you're sending a lot of traffic to Battlebox and they don't buy Battlebox, you can then introduce them to something else, right?
Exactly. So we have all these automations set up where, okay, you onboard it through an email pop-up on the Battlebox site, and as soon as your engagement falls off a certain point and you haven't bought, we have it where it introduces Carnivore Club, or it introduces Going Gear, which is another acquisition we made. Going Gear is camping, outdoor, flashlights, knives, a very similar demographic to Battlebox.
Right.
So it made sense. It was our first taste of retail.
Right.
It was a traditional e-com, like 80, I think at its peak was 80% was done online. 20% of the sales were done at the retail shop.
Where was the retail shop? In a mall? Where was it located? In a shopping center?
Freestanding in suburb of Atlanta.
You could use some of the inventory from Battlebox there or things like that. Yeah. Is that what you were doing?
Yeah. So we figured out solutions like that. The biggest win that company brand has had was it launched a subscription box.
Got it.
They have this loyal fan base.
Right.
So we launched EDC Club, which is called Everyday Carry. So like flashlights, little gadgets.
Got it.
That you would have on your person.
And so you can use your expertise and the individuals on your team that are working on Battlebox Carnivore Club to work on that sub box while still focusing on the retail end of things. And so you're diversifying the portfolio, which is great, right?
Right.
I mean, given what's happened with the COVID-19 crisis, like I'm sure that retail shop's probably not open right now, or maybe it is, right?
It's not.
And if that was your only business, then you'd be really in a bind, but you've now got this online presence. So look, I mean, these are all super smart things all around. What are some of the things you're running into? Is it hard to, like, if you got somebody in charge of email marketing, is it hard to like manage all that? Is it hard to, you get your mindset on the way a brand works and you have to sometimes shift it. And, how do you work through some of those things?
So what we found is, for the most part, there does need to be a dedicated person for a procurement product.
Right.
You can get into trouble, like if you're in one mindset of a brand and trying to switch it to another. So typically each brand has that one person that owns product, and then there's the shared resources. So
Got it.
Walter, for example, he's our marketing coordinator across all brands. So a lot of his activities adding the additional brand doesn't take that much more time.
Your team is partially remote?
Yeah, so we have technically we have 3 offices.
I've been having a lot of discussions and getting some content to the community about working remote, because for some people this pandemic has caused them to be forced to work remote and they may not have been used to it. Is there a certain tool that you use? Is there a certain meeting style? Is there just something that you could suggest to people that are starting to work in this new norm?
So I don't like phone calls.
Yeah,
and I don't dislike them, but so
Yeah.
Slack calls are
Yeah,
typically
that's right. You can call through Slack.
Yeah, you can call through Slack. It has a video on it.
Yep.
You can share your screen. I think the most important thing for a business is culture, and a lot of culture comes from like your daily interaction.
Right.
In the office. So I think video. If you can do video, always do video.
Yeah.
Easy to pick up the phone call. Don't make it a video.
Look, this is awesome, John. Thanks so much for being on the show. Thanks for being a good friend. I hope we get to see each other soon. Not wait till November, and hopefully this will all calm down. But love to have you back in Detroit. Grab a drink and stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, John.